there's a lot of greed run amok going on, and everyone can, I think, generally agree on that. That sucks. But
But
yeah, this transcendent ideal that compels
yeah,
us, how do we get it without some conception of something like God, something
well,
that is transcendent, even if it is not personified?
it's the apathy of the individual participating in it, and that's where we need to work with most is the the
Yeah, man.
individual, the normal
Yeah,
people,
for sure.
because you can be as greedy as you want, but if nobody wants your product, then
Right.
you
Yeah,
know
true. Well, we got to infuse love back into this world. And I think that if we can see that, I love bringing up this Martin Luther King quote on almost every one of my episodes, but Martin Luther King said it so well. God is love when he quoted the first epistle of John. And he went on to describe how this is seen by all the great world religions, all the great mystery traditions of our past. Ultimately, the supreme highest ideal is love in all of these ancient scriptures across the world. And that insight that the transcendent is somehow composed entirely of what we use this word love for seems to be true to all human cultures and to our actual human experience. And not to try and argue for exactly what is, because God knows it's infinite and it's beyond our comprehension. This existence is absolutely ineffable. I don't know how to explain it. None of us can. The greatest scientist, the greatest religious mind, what have you, they're still arguing to this day over it. But we have to come to some sort of consensus together on what's going to guide us. So I'm thinking of love as this transcendent ideal. We use that interchangeably with that kind of term.
with
Those kinds of terms that are out there that we already have for the divine or the supreme or the one or whatever.
so
And then we
replace
just start to get to know each other's different religious and spiritual
so
conceptions and
replace
traditions.
power with love. So instead of the saying with great power comes great responsibility, replace power with love. With great love comes great responsibility, and we need responsibility.
If you have capacity, if you have the ability, you should be responsive with it. And if we have the ability to make the world a little bit better, then we have the
Well,
responsibility
I think
to
every
do
single
so.
human
Yeah.
being, if you have any iota of consciousness,
Hey, we need something to do that we can all agree on,
has
right?
the ability to have to be responsible. You have to have response. You have to be able
Yes.
to respond to
We can all be more loving.
well,
That's
and
easy.
and when you love, there's a nature of responsibility to it. Like the binding of love within a family.
Yeah.
They're responsible
Yeah,
to
yeah,
each other. They have
yeah.
responses with each other, but they're also responsible for, say, the well-being of the
Yes.
family. And well, when you don't have responsibilities, you don't live a good, healthy life. You don't grow. You don't adapt. You don't.
Right?
Responsibility has a negative view.
It does have a negative
But-
connotation to us, but yeah, not responsibility as in
You have to
gotta
do
do your
this. No,
chores and
it's-
stuff.
it's-
But we do got to do our
Yeah,
chores.
but it's
it-
something
like
you
if we're-
feel compelled to do as well. Like I feel responsible for this person because
Yeah.
I left water out on the ground and didn't put the sign up, so I feel
Mhm.
responsible for that. Like we put it on ourselves.
Yeah, if you're able
whether
to
we like it or
respond in
not.
that moment, that's just being responsible. It's the same thing with how we may attend together, because we're really good when we actually organize and work together. If we agree on the project at innovating new ways of interrelating and being in our societies that are going to be able to function over the long term, that are going to help us through these uncertain times. We have to stabilize ourselves as a species, as civilizations. And allow those civilizations maybe to morph into 2.0 versions of themselves, utilizing what's tried and true that we've found so far, and where do we need certain upgrades or fixes to counteract the greedy, power-hungry sides.
We don't need to counteract it. We need to incentivize it. Greed. So yet again, buy their products. It force them to change their mode if they want to survive. You're dealing with people who are just sucking for power and vacuuming up the whole world and doing that
How do you
stuff.
appeal to sociopaths? Sure.
Yeah, so how do you well, okay, if you want to make whatever amount of money and be the guy everybody loves and adores, well, you can't keep, starving people or, making crap products that are killing people or, there are ways we can.
We got to depopularize those kinds of
and also how do
activities.
we incentivize people to start having these conversations? That's on the small end, for people to take responsibility that have the ability to respond. To give people
Just
the
by
ability to
encouraging
respond.
it and doing it, I think, and more and more,
Yeah.
and we get to start
talking
taking
about it,
responsibility.
when
Those of us that are adults now for this world and the next generations to come, it's the name of the fucking game. And we don't need to be slacking in these times because we're here on the precipice, man. It's exciting. and it's terrifying at once.
Don't feel,
But
feel
take a
afraid to
deep
go
breath
deep.
in.
Like
We have the capacity to actually flow in times of crisis. We are able to skirt the precipice and do so with elegance and virtuosity and insane levels of capacity. We've seen it over and over again in so many artists and athletes' demonstrations to us of what can be achieved. So yeah, we're able to dance gracefully through incredibly difficult situations, and that, I think, is what we're going to be priming ourselves to do now as a species, if we're going to make it through this phase and earn our friggin' butterfly wings, make it out of this cocoon, this phase shift alive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.